Now, in the middle of all this, and we have an open area here for about the next 40 minutes. Craig's off the radar. Will join us at, will be a part of the show at 4:45. Nobody rallies paranoia. Nobody rallies paranoia after a win or a loss like Gary Patterson at TCU. I think he's a phenomenal football coach. I think what he does with less sometimes is tremendous. But we remember back when TCU beat the living hell out of Art Briles and Baylor in 2010, made them, that's one of those where they blanked down their neck and made them sniff it. And, you know, way to go, Big 12, all that scene. And then after that game, later on, Gary Patterson made the comment that Baylor was stealing plays from TCU.
Which he's accused.
Beat the hell out of somebody.
He's accused many teams of doing at times.
Which, by the way, every damn play is on Huddle or on film or on YouTube.
Who cares if you steal a play?
You beat the hell. Okay, so that's one. We know 61-58. We know that he hated Art Briles and Art Briles was annoyed by him. We understand the rivalry. They were going after the same players. We know both, of course, Gary Patterson's backyard has not always been clean, but he seems to have survived it all. Hell of a football coach. But my God, after 61-58, he accused Orion Stewart, who did go up to him, of threatening him.
That was in the game before that.
The game before that.
That was in Fort Worth.
He, of course, when Ahmad Dixon blew up a player, got ejected, and kind of acted a little silly afterwards. Probably should have been escorted out of the stadium a lot faster. He made that the story of Baylor's win when they intercepted a pass in the end zone in Fort Worth. It's constant. And so now SMU plants a flag. What did he do, Paul?
He accused them of premeditating it, intentionally knocking over Coach Jerry Kill, who we know has a lot of different health issues. And he accused them, of course, he was mad because they took one of his songs and used it to mock him in a video. I don't know if it's on Twitter or whatever, but one of Gary Patterson's original country songs that he sings. And then he also brought up Baylor again in this whole rant.
So he's mad at SMU.
Brought up Baylor again?
Yeah, he brought up 61-58 again.
Patterson said he couldn't substantiate which team knocked Kill over the second time or whether an SMU player used a helmet to cause an injury. Patterson alleged during a post-game news conference. We've heard his post-game news conferences. They can be classic and paranoid. He then brought up, he brought this up about copyright infringements, but he's got the Longhorns to worry about, and then went into 61-58 or whenever it was when a Baylor player. I love it when people hate us. If you win, people hate you, like the Baylor player who came up and confronted him was Orion Stewart.
I need to read this. We have rivalries. People get to where they hate you. Just go back to 61-58. Players are getting in my face. He's never said anything about players getting in his face before that I recall. He said that he jawed back and forth or whatever with Ahmad, but players getting in his face.
He said that Orion Stewart, I don't remember the terminology. Orion is the one, because Ahmad was Orion's older brother, basically. That was his homeboy. It was. And Orion came up, but he wasn't he didn't threaten your life. This is SMU, a crosstown rival who's gotten better. It's a turf war.
I mean, the big thing is that Jerry Kill had a concussion, which I don't think we've mentioned. So that's why he's partially upset. He's also upset because they got beat, and he's also upset because they got beat again by SMU, who has no business being their rival or being on the same level as them. And so, he's a little bit flustered right now. No one comes out with more excuses and more conspiracy theories after losses than Gary Patterson. It's almost like clockwork.
That's what I just put up on Twitter.
Some scandal that happened or something that had absolutely nothing to do with the result, but it's like, let's shift the loss attention and let's shift it on to, these are bad people over here. We do it with class. He does that constantly.
Coach High Road? I'm going to take the high road.
Oh, no, he's so not Coach High Road.
And everyone took that. I cannot substantiate that it was an SMU or TCU person, but it did happen, talking about Kill getting knocked over. If we wouldn't have had the flags, it wouldn't have happened, okay? He then referred to SMU players attempting to plant the school's flag at midfield, saying the planting of the flag had been discussed beforehand by the SMU program. All right, so that's Gary Patterson. He's a hell of a coach. So what was the next thing his AD or SMU's AD said, Paul? You were reading that. Do we have that?
He said that he released a statement. Oh, I sent it to Craig. Hold on. It's
to Armstrong.
I sent it to both of them. But I don't know if I did. SMU AD Rick Hart issues a statement saying, in part, TCU coach Gary Patterson accused our program multiple times of planning to plant our flag on the field following our win. This is a complete fabrication. And this is what Gary Patterson does. And now SMU, they've got this feud. Gary Patterson, every time a job comes up and mentions, like, maybe this will be the job that Gary Patterson leaves for. Gary Patterson is not leaving Fort Worth. Gary Patterson does press conferences in front of about 10 people or less every week. If he couldn't handle it, like he could not handle Texas. He couldn't because of the paranoia would be too huge. Just like Tom Herman couldn't handle it in Austin, Gary Patterson's cut from that same kind of crazy guy cloth, and this is why he has been at TCU. I'm not knocking the TCU job, but it's insulated and protected because he is a next-level football genius. Belichick-level football genius. That's what Gary Patterson is. I will say that till the day I die. But because of all this other stuff, the reason that Belichick is where he is because this stuff does not matter to him. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Here's another thing where he says something and then doesn't quite say it and then kind of says, you don't think it was planned? They had a media person, videographers, media department from their office that was out filming the flag getting set on the middle of the field. We've seen Texas and Oklahoma do whatever they've done. We've seen teams do this before. There are photographers everywhere. It's okay, but don't tell me there wasn't a plan somewhere. A guy got hurt. Why I'm upset about it? A guy got hurt. That usually cause seizures. A guy got hurt. He got pushed down by our kids once on film in the middle of it, and he got hit because I've got proof to show it. At the end of the day, whether it's SMU and TCU, I can't substantiate it, but at the end of the day, it wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the flood. Denied Patterson's claim that it staged any kind of planning afterward.
Well, I mean, he's right that nothing probably would have happened if not for the flag planting, and that is something that teams have to be careful of. Baker Mayfield did that at Ohio State.
That's what it was, yeah.
And, then you've seen it happen on occasion ever since then, although a lot of schools prohibit that or make sure that doesn't happen because of what might ensue, like on Saturday. He's right about that, but he's also basically saying, well, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to act like I know for sure and state it as fact and accuse you of something, even though I'm also protecting myself by saying, but I don't know for sure, even though you've got video evidence that shows that it was a TCU player who hit Jerry Keel on accident or whatever. That's how he got concussed. He got concussed by somebody playing for TCU. But Gary does not stop in saying, but still, it wouldn't have, and it's always somebody else's fault. Like, look, if they won that game on Saturday, I doubt we're hearing too much about this. For one, because there wouldn't have been a flag planting. But if it wasn't this and SMU won, it would be something else.
Yeah,
because
they stole our plays.
That's his MO. He does this
had a guy in the restaurant.
The time when they struggle. There's always, they stole our plays. They were spying on us. Or they have bad apples over there. Not like that school down south. There's always some little shot that he wants to, make.
Put that up again, and you're right about what you said about the school down south. Put the one up again about the 61-58 Armstrong. All right. There was no reason, none, for him to go here other than the fact he wants to, whenever he can, bring something up negative about Baylor. Baylor's got their own problems. It's not like TCU hasn't had a few toxic situations either.
Well, and
why? Why? We like rivalries, but the 61-58 players getting into my face. It's players now getting into my face.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His stories
change.
His stories are total fibs that he just is like. It's like I can't.
I
even
giggle.
With this guy.
You know what? That's what you. No, stop.
Yeah, you giggle. You're so fun right now. You're just complaining about everything.
There was a high school coach in our area a few years ago that reminded me of this. Craig used to have to interview him each week, and they would lose a game, and he'd be like, well, it was on the last-second field goal. We've got tape that shows that the field goal wasn't really good. Oh, really? You've got how many angles you've got in your high school? You got two guys with a camera up on the photo deck. Stop it. We've got this, and we've got, that guy was this. And we also knew that guy was often believed to bug his visitor's locker room. I mean, so there are people that are paranoid and coaches that are paranoid, and Gary Patterson falls under this, and I think it's unfortunate, and I also think it's what's held TCU back a little bit. Not that they can do – I mean, he's a fantastic coach, but if he would stop doing all this stuff and being worried about it, they would be so good every year. But it's paranoia that holds him back.
He also has a team coming into town that he's owned.
Oh, yeah.
And they look like they may have at least gotten on the right track. This is circle the wagons. Put the information on him rather than the attention on the fact they lost to a team, the SMU, that is now getting better.
Some motivational tool the same way, you know, all of a sudden 2 weeks ago he's saying that nobody knows who Zach Evans is or giving him enough credit. You know, why did he do that? Because he wants Zach Evans to get more credit and because he wants to motivate Zach Evans. So, yes, his team did not look good on Saturday. SMU kicked their ass. And I think Gary Patterson said as much to Sonny Dykes after the game before all hell broke loose. But SMU dominated them for the most part, and you know that was a clear victory for the Mustangs. And so yeah, now he's got to rally the troops and get ready for Texas. And God forbid he loses to Texas with the dominance they've displayed over them. But there's a good shot of that the way UT's playing right now. So yeah, it's part motivation, it's part always being the victim, which he plays that role very well. You know, it's always woe is me here at TCU kind of a thing, which I think is ridiculous at this point. But he's right. The flag thing set it off, but his comments are making this a far bigger deal than it was on Saturday, for that matter.
Here's another quote. Adam Rittenberg had this one. If I had the time, I'd go out and get all the copyright laws. I'd get after their ass. Talking about SMU, but I got Longhorns on my mind right now, and what he was referring to was the fact that he said SMU, using one of his songs he released during COVID, take a step back to rip the state of the TCU football program.
Yeah, they had fun with the video online after they won the game by using his song as background music, which is just creative. I mean, if the opposing head coach has music and you can fit that into a highlight video over your win, that's what I would do too. So, if he wants to get serious about copyrights, and I know that's probably just a throwaway comment, but I mean, who knows with this guy?
I can tell you this. When I was in college, if Steve Spurrier had released an album, I would have ripped that thing so fast off of Napster, you wouldn't have been able to. We'd have been making fun of it every, time we could have. That's just how it is. That's part of it. But you released the album, and they did not doing what they did because of there are definite rules on the internet about getting popped. They didn't break any copyright laws.
I just think there's so much crying going on. And look, he's a great head coach. I will never deny how good of a football coach he is. And, obviously what he's meant to TCU. But there have been so many moments over the last few years of just whining and crying over stuff that it rubs me the wrong way. It's why I can't get on board with a guy outside of just saying I respect him and he's a great football coach. But if he's on my TV screen, I'm flipping so fast that, I might as well not even have the TV set on because I don't want to hear what he has to say.
Lighten up, Gary. The number to call, 254-339-1120.